Match 16, King Kong vs. Zilla by Thomas Singleton. New York City, a city filled with over 8 million people. Large, towering skyscrapers reached up from out of the ground and touched the skies. During the day, millions of people flocked the streets, delaying multitudes of cars and other vehicles from reaching their destinations. At night, the city was alive with vibrant glows of splendor and beauty and majesty. It is the pinnacle of man's dominion, a kingdom apart from the most powerful nation the world had ever known. But mankind's greatest achievements in architecture would become short-lived. The sun resided in the sky, bathing the magnificent city in a lustrous glow. Light glinted off the glass and steel frames of the skyscrapers. Car horns hounded the streets, urging one another to move. Drivers rolled down their windows, shouting empty threats at one another before listening to the morning radio and drinking coffee. In Manhattan, crowds of people impatiently waited for the crosswalk sign to give them permission to cross. When the crimson digitized hand faded and the image of a pallid, glowing human appeared, the crowd ventured down the crosswalk in unison, but a loud honking noise encouraged them to reconsider. The people stopped, narrowly avoiding contact with the speeding taxicab. Inside the taxicab, a beautiful blonde actress looking behind her, amazed and petrified by the events unfolding that very instant. The crowd issued their unheard complaints, but even they were silenced by a thundering holler. The sound was unsoothing, ravenous in nature and disbelief. Its vocals shattered the window frames latched to the cars and buildings. Street lamps blew apart, unable to withstand the terrifying howl of the monstrous entity. From the edge of a street corner, it emerged. Grayish scales covered the creature, which seeped with the cold fountains of the Atlantic waters. The disgusting smell of fish and ocean water filled the nostrils of the tiny humans below. Jagged, razor-sharp spines jutted out of the behemoth's back. The creature was bipedal, standing on two massive legs that were strong enough to support its huge figure. It had 3 toenails attached to each of its reptilian feet. Each hand possessed 4 claws, capable of shredding asphalt with the utmost ease. A flab of skin stretched out of its neck, ending with tiny spikes. Its massive skull resembled an iguana's, prehistoric and ancient in nature. An amalgam of reddish-orange texture reprised the cornea of the reptile's eyes. A long, massive tail swung back and forth, demolishing tiny structures in its wake. Sharp, pointy teeth protruded out of its jaws. Another roar emanated out of the back of its throat, louder than ever before. It was a cry of anger, signifying the hunt was on. With another earth-trembling step, Zilla tore off down the road, intent on destroying the taxicab and its occupants. Zilla's feet pounded the streets, splintering the artificial surface with its towering mass. People and cars alike were crushed by Zilla's moving feet. Chaos followed suit, shrouding the judgment of everyone present, making them panic. To most, the ground was constantly quaking from Zilla's rampant pursuit, hindering their ability to abscond fast enough. Pass.
As Zilla closed in, jaws widened, ready to swallow the taxi can hole. I think we found an error.
Yeah, taxi can. Now in your local Piggly Wiggly.
Swallowed the taxi can whole. A humanoid fist blindsided the titanic reptile, plowing Zilla's lower jaw into the pavement. Zilla raked the street, flattening vehicles and spitting the road asunder. The massive reptile dug its hind legs into the ground, prompting the Titan to rise erect off the ground. Zilla arose, shredding shards of asphalt and glass from its flesh. The taxicab twirled around, hundreds of meters away. It came to a complete stop. Zilla's predatory visage favored the cab, wishing to digest it and quell its insatiable appetite. But Zilla's attacker revealed itself. A massive, bulky beast landed between Zilla and its prey. Dark hair covered the majority of its body. The animal's face, fists, and feet were exposed, revealing their jury-coated skin. To any onlookers brave enough to stay long enough to observe the chaotic situation, the beast was a massive ape, comparable to the size of Zilla. Strands of white hair resided on its back, a showcase of stature and rank to its species. Zilla's animalistic tendencies failed to comprehend the history of the beast before it, never knowing that the creature that defied it was King Kong, the eighth wonder of the world. King Kong's facial features molded in intolerant complexion. Kong's upper lip curled up, allowing him to expose his man-like teeth. Zilla sneered in contempt, deeming Kong a threat not to take lightly. In defiance, Kong raised his massive arms and pounded his brawny fist against his sturdy chest. Finally, King Kong slammed both fists into the ground, annihilating it with his awesome strength. The street recoiled from the impact and dispersed in all directions. It was a challenge. Zilla stepped back, intimidated. The reptile surveyed the large structures surrounding them. It instinctively searched for a way out, should the massive ape prove to be too much of a challenge. If push came to shove, Zilla would claw its way through the ground and tunnel to safety. With its retreating strategy staged, Zilla launched an attack. The giant ape reptile hurled its figure at the massive ape. Zilla's gaping maw aimed for Kong's throat, poised to crush the ape's windpipe. Instead, Kong caught Zilla's jaws with both hands. With his Herculean strength, Kong shoved Zilla headfirst into a nearby skyscraper. Zilla's organic skull penetrated the exterior of the building, where the building employees screamed in terror. Kong took advantage of Zilla's inability to see him and wrapped one of his massive arms around Zilla's neck. The giant ape pulled the reptile out of the building and swung it around. Kong cruelly attempted to suffocate Zilla, cutting the reptile off from its air supply. Zilla panicked and rapidly thrashed around, attempting to break itself free. Losing his grip, Kong leaned forward, bringing Zilla with him. Kong plowed Zilla's face into the ruptured pavement. The impact temporarily knocked Zilla out. King Kong used the time well. King Kong gritted his teeth as he victoriously pounded Zilla's ribcage, or viciously. The physical blows wrought enough devastation to awaken Zilla from its unconsciousness. Kong's indomitable strength shattered one of Zilla's ribs. The broken bone pierced out of Zilla's underbelly. Kong considered the exposed bone with envious eyes. Kong reached down to grab it, but Zilla lashed out, clawing its jaws around King Kong's shoulder. Zilla's mandibles clamping its jaws around King Kong's shoulder. Zilla's mandibles applied enough strength to crack the shoulder joints. Kong started losing all sensation to his shoulder. In retaliation, Kong seized the opportunity. The giant ape reached down and clenched the exposed bone. Kong commanded his arm to use all the strength it had accessible. Zilla relinquished his hold and screamed in agony. King Kong met Zilla's painful gaze and snarled cruelly. Pass.
Alright, I'm back.
Alright, GVJ, can you start from Kong disconnected the bone from Zilla's skeletal structure? So, just Control F and just find Kong disconnected.
Yeah, disconnected. Alright. Kong disconnected the bone from Zilla's skeletal structure and put it away, which I approve. A torrent of scarlet blood leaked down the fresh wound. Suddenly, Zilla summoned an increase of strength, obtained only by the intense pain it was undergoing. Ew. Zilla pushed itself off the ground and collided against Kong. The physical impact forced Kong to stumble back, giving Zilla enough time to find its footing. Kong dropped a piece of Zilla's rib and rushed forward, but Zilla whipped its tail back and smacked it into Kong's cranium. King Kong charged forward, but was unable to grapple its intended target. Seeing Kong's sides exposed, Zilla rushed forward, smashing the towering ape into a building on the other side of the street. An abolished skyscraper buried the two titans underneath thousands of tons of debris and concrete. Amidst the rubble, Zilla's jagged spines were visibly seen, but an unseen force pushed Zilla out of the rubble. Zilla struck the street and slid across its surface, flattening anything unlucky enough to get caught in its path. King Kong burst out of the rubble. The monstrous ape charged Zilla, showing no measure of mercy. Kong charged the colossal reptile, running on all fours to increase its speed. Zilla stood upright and charged at the incoming ape, intent on meeting King Kong head-on. The two hovering titans clashed in the streets of Manhattan. Yeah, that's where every American kaiju happens. Zilla, the giant apes, gouging deep claw marks in Kong's hairy surface. Ew. King Kong ignored the pain and jabbed Zilla aside the snout. Nearly broke the reptile's jaw structure, but he didn't keep it from fighting. Zilla lunged at Kong, slapping its jaws over Kong's throat. Kong tried to holler in agony, but Zilla's squeezing jaws prevented it. Wow, they really like it rough. King Kong gripped the outskirts of Zilla's maw and attempted to separate them from his throat. It was like trying to separate the jaws of a crocodile. Crikey! Pass.
Did you want to pass or?
Yeah, I said pass.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you.
Oh.
Kong angrily pounded Zilla's skull, but the reptile knew it wouldn't last any longer. With the oxygen rapidly depleting, Kong's strength reduced drastically. Kong's legs struggled to keep the ape erect, but without any air, they lost their balance. Dig blasted. Yeah, I know what you were thinking, GVJ. Zilla's strong neck muscles augmented the strength needed to keep Kong at bay. Kong's entire mass was being held up by Zilla's jawbones. King Kong's life force was dwindling. It wouldn't be long until it completely deviated. Unknown to the two monsters, military vehicles were making their way to the battleground. The large vehicles came to a screeching halt. Rockets concealed inside their compartments eerily awaited their deployment. Targeting computers concentrated on Zilla's cold-blooded shape. The field commander ordered his soldiers to open fire. Without hesitation, the rockets leapt out of their holding pins and sped to strike Zilla's backside. A second later, the rockets detonated against Zilla's scaly hide, singing the flesh and leaving smoldering craters behind. Zilla relinquished its fatal grip it had over King Kong and dropped the ape. Kong landed on the ground and slumped into a sprawling position. Zilla tilted its head, spotting its attackers. Two other rockets blazed out of their confinements, intending to inflict as much damage as possible. Zilla bent down, successfully avoiding the two rockets. The rockets sped off course, striking a restaurant. Two separate explosions enveloped the restaurant and fused together. It incinerated the building completely and everyone inside.
Just a quick pause here. Did anyone else, when the missiles started firing, start thinking of, since tomorrow is the 4th of July, just timetable this, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night. The monsters
right.
there. Like, totally. I just imagine the monsters are inviting and they just look over like, come on, guys! Like, really, this is our thing at the moment. You can have your turn to the winner. I mean,
maybe G98 was a secret homage to the Star Spangled Banner.
Who knew? Yeah.
Or maybe they just didn't like Zilla so much that they're trying to help Kong win.
Yeah, fair enough.
They're like, we don't like the film. Get him.
Yeah. These soldiers here are all the angry fanboys who hated G98. Anyway. Zilla prepared to attack the rocket launchers, but a strange sound filled the air. Wonder what that could be. Zilla arched its neck back and scanned the sky. Over a dozen Apache helicopters filled its reptilian vision. Oh, never mind. In front of the attacking aircrafts, chain guns extinguished hundreds of bullets per second. The hot lead bounced off of Zilla's armored hide. Zilla growled at the platoon of helicopters. In response, dozens of missiles were unleashed from their holding pins. Zilla's instincts urged it to run and seek shelter. It didn't think twice. Zilla jumped over a building complex and down a street corner. The homing missiles followed closely behind, but ended up striking a series of apartments and skyscrapers. Balls of fire ruptured the man-made objects, reducing their unintended targets to a smoldering pile of rubble. The pilots aboard the Apache helicopters marbled? Is that used right?
Marbled, I think?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the term?
Marbled.
Marbled for 500, please?
Yeah, I know, right? At King Kong's unmoving form. They prepared to eject another payload, but the ape's eyes slid open. Kong quickly got off the ground, attempting to locate his reptilian opponent. But instead of finding Zilla, Kong found an army of Apache helicopters opening fire. Dozens of missiles tracked the heat signatures from Kong's body. They plowed into Kong's muscular shape, incinerating portions of his hair and skin. A fierce growl escaped Kong's vocals. Kong ignored the pain and charged the attacking aircrafts. Realizing Kong's intentions, the Apache helicopters started to flee, but a few failed. Kong's swinging fists caught one of them, demolishing it completely. Shards of the Apache helicopter rained down from the sky, pelting the streets below. The others were well beyond Kong's grasp, but it didn't stop the ape from attacking. Kong sunk his fingers into the rooftop of a skyscraper nearby. He ripped it away from the building and tossed it at the fleeing helicopters. It destroyed several before falling into Central Park. King Kong emitted a silent growl of victory. He proceeded to try and locate Zilla, but to no avail. Kong sniffed the air and caught Zilla's scent. Kong's irritation increased as he dwelled upon his reptilian antagonist. Without another thought, Kong leaped into action and followed Zilla's trail. Pass.
Miles away, Zilla was terrorizing the district. It purposefully flattened any humans it located, but suddenly a familiar scent lingered into the vicinity of Zilla's nostrils. At the end of the street, a familiar taxicab had broken down. Inside, the blonde woman attempted to unbuckle her seatbelt, but it was jammed. She looked down the road, realizing Zilla had found her. I just want to make note, first off, is she like a fish? I mean, last time I checked, Zilla only went after people if it was angry or smelled like fish. So this woman has some horrible perfume. I'm just making that
I'll tell you one thing. Something's fishy about this situation.
Exactly. I want to get to the bottom of it. We should launch an investigation.
And she's screaming because she saw the most ugly kaiju of all time.
She was like, "Oh my God, it's from that movie! Get me out of here!" And it was just like, "You dare say it was a bad movie?" I mean, actually, you know what? Actually, you know what? She probably said it was a good movie, and Zilla was trying to kill her for it. He was like, "I even know I wasn't even a good film." That's why he's not attacking everyone else. Everyone else knows it's not a good film, but she thinks it's a good film.
Either that's the reverse situation where she thought it was a terrible movie, and Zilla was like, "No, love me. I want to be Godzilla." But anyway,
the edge.
Zilla slurped its blood-stained teeth. It grunted a fiendish snarl and charged. It closed in, jaws wide, and ready to devour its prey. A loud roar rumbled from the rooftops. Zilla ignored it, determined to gobble up its target. A shadow fell over Zilla's sprinting figure. King Kong jumped from the rooftops, landing in between the taxicab and Zilla. Zilla, a fast and agile kaiju, wasn't fast enough to avoid Kong's swinging forearm. The reptile moaned painfully as he tumbled into a high school.
Wow, Kong's the bully, Zilla's the nerd.
Basically, right now it's a combination of 98 and King Kong 2005 at the moment is what I'm seeing. The school crumbled underneath Zilla's mass. Blood leaked out of Zilla's jaws, a testament of the damage it received from Kong's brutal attack, but it wasn't enough to keep Zilla down. As Zilla rose, Kong jumped at it from behind. It was an error on the ape's part. Zilla used it to its advantage. The fiendish reptile buried its bony spines into Kong's abdomen. Kong roared painfully and lost his balance. Zilla swiftly battered Kong's face with his muscular tail. Kong fell to the ground, but he was quick to regain his composure. He witnessed Zilla rushing forward, but Kong tackled Zilla's leg, catching Zilla off guard. Zilla was forced to fall frontward. Zilla was fast. Kong was faster. King Kong rolled away and leaped to his feet. Before Zilla could arise, Kong buried his fist into Zilla's exposed neck. It was enough to not only crack Zilla's neck, but also send him reeling to the ground. Kong turned away, spotting the blonde actress escaping the taxicab. They stared into one another's eyes. Kong felt a sudden sense of belonging. Only the human had ever touched the animalistic spirit. In payment, Kong was willing to sacrifice everything for her. Before Zilla could rise again, Kong took the time to approach her and picked her up with one of his hands. He sprinted away, heading in the direction of the Empire State Building. Zilla weakly pulled itself to its feet. It surveyed the destroyed environment, searching for its foe and prey alike. but neither of them was around. The ground quaked beneath Zilla's feet. Zilla turned, spawning Kong running away with its prey in his grasp. Ahead of the majestic ape was a towering building, larger than any other in the city. It bolted into a sprint, chasing after King Kong with superior speed. Kong glanced down at the woman in his hand. Never before had she looked so small, but he had also never been so large.
Oh,
he stopped. Yeah. What? Okay, hold on. Back up a second. But he had never been so large. What, was he taking steroids at this point?
Oh,
was
no,
he, like,
it made
downing?
something... No,
Was it like
Kong
Maybe
was
it's
never...
because of the size change, considering, King Kong.
But here's the thing, Kong never felt so erect, which is a word Thomas likes to use.
Well,
which sentence are we looking at again?
I mean, Toho's Kong was like
the biggest, yeah. Kong glanced down at the woman in his hand. Never before had she looked so small, but he had never been so large.
Not to mention, Toho's Kong does stand erect.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. But at the same time, Kong is... welcome back. This Kong is like... This isn't the same Kong, because Kong always dies at the end. It's like how it should have ended, except Kong how Kong should have died at the end, or whatever. Tom, I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna hold that against you. I'm gonna hold that against you until the next time we meet. In any case, he stopped before the Empire State Building. Kong marveled at its colossal height. It would take a few minutes for him to climb to the top. Kong reached up and buried his fingers into the structure, knowing he could support his massive weight. Kong climbed up with his feet embracing the skyscraper's exterior tightly. But a bellowing roar of defiance caught Kong's attention. The ape turned, noticing Godzilla Legendary with a tree, saying, "I'm back." No, in all seriousness, the ape turned, spawning Zilla heading right for them. Not wanting to risk the woman's life, Kong rushed his enterprise and climbed up faster. Okay.
I didn't know Kong owned a business.
Apparently.
It's like Gamera being a custodian.
Singleton, I have to say, he had a lot of filler, and B, used the thesaurus too much.
Well, to be fair, that was only for the Godzilla vs. Gamera match. Like, his other two, like, the matches that we've been reading right now have been pretty tame. It's like, really, this is the first time where an odd word has been used, so...
I'm just wondering where orbs are at.
Those reptilian orbs!
Nuclear
sounds
orbs,
more like,
remember.
Really, thinking about it now, sounds more like a Birdman thing. Ugh.
Anyway,
let's continue.
Away with me.
So, oh god, where did I end? Oh yeah, when King Kong was halfway up, Zilla reached the base.
Oh my.
Zilla greedily examined the building, wondering if it could climb upwards. Okay.
Wait, wondering
Zilla's
out.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Wondering if it could climb upwards? Question mark? Maybe that was
Wondering out.
You know, I guess you
Wondering
could say Tom needs someone to edit his work or overlook it instead of be given too much power.
And that's I can't wait for 56 and 150. That's all I have to say.
You know what I can't wait for? 164. When you guys read my match and you're just tearing it apart.
Oh heck yeah! I'm looking forward to that one.
I'm just gonna say I'm gonna bring up a small topic like after we read this match, just for the future. Just remind me on that.
Okay.
After we read this match.
Right, after we're done here, yeah.
Touche. When King Kong... Oh, wait, I already read that.
Zilla's impatience.
Oh, yeah. Zilla's impatience proved unbearable. The reptilian fiend sunk its claws into the skyscraper and climbed upwards. Kong reached the top.
Dry humped it.
Sure. And placed the woman inside and opened the door. He stared at her, determined to protect her, but his thoughtful intentions became replaced by a staggering pain.
Zilla stuck it in the wrong hole.
I just realized I said, at first I said dry heaved it.
In any case, Kong reached up and buried his fingers in the structure, knowing he could support his massive weight. Wait, that's the wrong place. I'm losing my mind. Kong's gaze descended.
Oh my,
there we go.
Tyler. Oh
Kong's gaze descended and saw Zilla's jaws crushing one of his ankles. Zilla's weight pulled down Kong. Kong reached out, burying his fist into the building, attempting to impede his fall. Kong howled in despair, knowing he couldn't reach down and batter Zilla's face. Kong improvised. The ape raked its hand against an alignment of windows, chucking a combination of glass and debris into Zilla's eyes. Zilla remained unaffected by Kong's strategy. Zilla unlatched itself from the buildings entirely. Kong embedded his hands deep within the mainframe of the building. He heaved heavily, drawing in oxygen into his lungs. Zilla's entire body was hanging from Kong's injured ankle. The fiendish reptile was offering Kong an ultimatum. Pass.
All right.
Am I going on or what?
Yeah, I guess Banner, you just kind of came back in, so we're gonna give you this.
I found where you are. Don't worry. King Kong gritted his teeth, unamused by. You don't have to have the hyphen. Unamused by Zilla's strategy, he paid one last look at the woman before relinquishing his hold on the building. The surprised Zilla widened its eyes, never believing Kong would ever do it. In midair, Kong grabbed Zilla's scaly body and pulled it closer. Ooh.
Sounds sexy.
Oh, yeah. The ape unmercifully pounded Zilla's injured ribcage. Ooh, that's not my fetish. Inflicting further damage, Zilla clawed Kong's face, exacting bloody smears, but neither of them could overcome the other before striking the world below. A hotel complex broke their fall, but it wasn't enough. While the hotel was smashed beyond reckoning, they still struck the ground beneath it. The ground raised high into the air and pervaded. I don't get his use of pervaded. It generated a powerful tremor that it pervaded into all directions. It generated a powerful tremor that shook the entire city. Buildings nearby crumbled from the aftershock. Dense smoke covered the district neighborhood, bleaching out any signs of the two Titanic. What? I'm Gavin. Remember that. Monsters. Amidst the dense smoke, King Kong and Zilla resumed their brutal battle. Brutal battle. Despite having the wind knocked out of them, neither of them was willing to give the other an advantage. Kong clenched Zilla's snout and shoved the reptile face first into the asphalt. King Kong pummeled the back of Zilla's head. The physical blows traumatized the reptile, killing its nerve cells and diminishing its ability to stay conscious. Yet it still managed to retaliate. Zilla timed Kong's swinging fist just right and avoided them. The cunning reptile buried its teeth into Kong's weakened shoulder, unwillingly to repeat the Triggered by grammar. Kong augmented enough strength to detach Zilla's jaws from his shoulder. He seized the opportunity and picked the fiendish reptile off the ground. With his incredible strength, Kong held Zilla over his head and threw the reptile hundreds of meters away. Zilla fell into an apartment complex.
There you go.
Excuse me. The buildings were smashed to pieces, but Zilla managed to quickly get up. He realized Kong was too strong. Too strong, yeah. In the distance, King Kong charged. You mean like with electricity? Or...
I think that's like going forward.
I know, but like, you get what I'm
with
saying.
what? About Chick Malco.
You're not Tucker. You're not Tucker!
You're not funny. Get a move on.
You're being Gira. Ooh, that's a big insult.
I don't get it, but continue.
Guillotina's not funny. Guillotina 93. No. He's where humor goes to die. Never giving Zilla a chance to get a second wind, Zilla shifted its stance and ran away, its destination being the Hudson River. Pass.
Kong
Alright.
chased after his.
Oh no, you can go ahead. I was gonna say, GVJ, go ahead.
Kong chased after his reptilian foe. He faintly turned and stared at the Empire Strikes Back building, pleased that the woman he had grown,
That's great.
Triggered him.
he had grown to cherish was now safe. Jesus, he's clingy as fuck. Clingy spotted Zilla not far ahead of him. The reptile had reached the end of the road and was preparing to leap into the water. As it started to launch forward, Kong's hands grasped Zilla's tail. Zilla eared irritably, frustrated by Kong's interference, but Kong simply grunted. He swung the tail and elevated Zilla into the air. Zilla was hurled into a building, undaunted by the impact. Kong charged the reptile, but Zilla shifted its posture and leaped into the Hudson, disappearing beneath its murky surface. Kong stopped at the water's edge, noticing his reflection. He does not look good. Bloody cuts and bruises occupied the ape's facial appearance. It has been a vicious, brutal battle, even if Kong joyed in forcing his dominance, upon the other giants of the world. He always looked to a long, provoking rest. The silhouette of a massive creature appeared beneath the murky surface. Kong snapped out of its trance, but it was too late. Zilla's upper body of the water and hooked its gaping maw around Kong's chin. Ew, he's trying to give him a hickey.
Ew.
King Kong was the creatures to ever walk the earth, but not even he could stop himself from being pulled underwater. Beneath the frigid waters of the Hudson, Kong violently battered Zilla with his raging fist. I guess you could say Kong was 50. Zilla unleashed its jaw.
What did you say?
Don't ask.
Don't.
Just move on.
Just keep going.
Fisting?
Just keep
Oh
going.
god.
Zilla unlatched its jaws and swam away, but not because of Kong's violent demeanor. That can mean one or two things, but because of the thrill of the hunt.
Oh yeah.
Beneath the waters, Kong was in Zilla's domain. It was here Kong was weak and defenseless. Zilla wouldn't have it any other way. He wants to be dominant for once. Kong used his waging arms and legs to propel himself to the surface. Kong emerged out of the water, searching for land. Hundreds of feet away, Kong spotted the shore and desperately reached for it. His
Hang on
wet
a second.
hair.
Well, who's doing the tapping?
Not me. Not me.
Okay,
That's
stop.
true.
So go ahead.
His wet hair glistened in the sunlight, instilling a beautiful blend of harmony and beauty. Kong reached closer for the edge, but beneath the water he was completely helpless. Underneath the water, Zilla swam up to Kong, raking its dorsal fins into Kong's back. Red blood, no shit, it's red blood, gushed out of Kong's wound, staining the surrounding waters. Kong reached out and grabbed the shoreline. The ape pulled himself to the shore and started exiting the Hudson. A few blocks away, people evacuated out of the power plant. They're now doing this? They're now evacuating?
What? New York takes a while to get out.
I think everyone would evacuate, but I digress.
It really takes a while. We kind of learned that with 9/11. They kind of locked down Manhattan Island. That's the thing. They lock it down.
Alright, Kong reached his destiny. Wait, where was I?
Evacuate the power plant. I think.
Yes.
Evacuate.
Weird how there aren't any actual power plants in New York City proper.
Yeah, people evacuated the power plant, not willing to stick around and suffer the consequences.
Kong's weak, tired eyes spotted the power plant and sensed the electricity surging within. He gathered what little strength he had left and crawled into its direction. Behind the frail beast, the waters were disturbed by a phenomenal force. Zilla jumped out of the water and landed on the ground. Gravity had thrusted Zilla's massive finger. Oh, he's going in onesie now. Hard enough to support.
Oh my god!
Zilla stretched its muscles and licked its teeth. Ew. Its predatory eyes concentrated on Kong's crawling form. Never before had it seen the brutal apes in such a weakened state. Zilla greatly anticipated the thrill of devouring such a powerful beast. Again, that can mean one or two things.
Yeah.
Zilla pursued.
It probably means two things.
Kong, but abided its time. Kong reached his destination. He pushed himself off the ground and stood on both feet. Zilla burst into a sprint and struck Kong's back. The collision knocked Kong into the power plant, where his gigantic body crushed the building instantaneously. But it also severed power cables, which entangled Kong's brawny arms and legs. Millions of volts of electricity enveloped Kong's very well-being. He drank a Gatorade. Zilla watched gleefully, enjoying the thought of feeding off the barbecue meat. But Zilla's eyes widened in fear. Passerino.
I just realized Winston from Overwatch has the same power as Toho Kong.
Well, of course.
Oh, wow. That's actually where they got the idea from. Toho's suing them at the moment.
Yes.
Wait,
Also, what's up
seriously?
with that weird snapping noise or whatever? Like, where's that coming from?
I don't know.
Well,
It's not me.
It seems to stop.
Not
Wait,
me,
is it
unless
this?
you're hearing me
Is
type.
it this?
No, it's not that. It's more like a tuh, 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 tuh. Or something
Like that?
I don't know.
Like, I'm trying to recreate anything like I might do subconsciously, like tapping or something next to the mic, but I'm like, no, I think KaijuX is just hearing things. Okay, then.
Let's go and see now. We have to put him down.
Old X, anyway.
It's time for
Alright,
I'm looking for a new second in command for the KWC.
Yeah,
Traits
old-
not in
I
the same-
volunteer as tribute. No wait, I nominate Tyler Treeshock.
But he's
I
the
I
head.
other-
nominate that.
Yeah, I needed someone to do all my for me. Duh.
I volunteer as tribute.
Anyway, King Kong rose out of the rubble,
I guess.
immune to the effects of the electricity. Veins bulged out of Kong's skin as his body evolved. Kong's muscles increased drastically. His strength improved tenfold. Electricity coursed through Kong's veins, granting him a second chance at dismantling his foe. Kong turned, noticing Zilla launching an attack. But to Zilla's disarray, it failed to sink its teeth into Kong's throat. Instead, Kong smashed his fist into Zilla's cranium. The physical assault sent Zilla reeling for miles. Not even skyscrapers could stop Zilla's uncontrollable momentum. Zilla smashed into a street corner, forging a large impact crater underneath it. The fiendish reptile opened its eyelids, realizing a large trail before it. Skyscrapers struggled to stay intact, despite having a large hole within the center of its arrangement. However, the sight of devastation did not bring fear to Zilla's cunning mind. It was the burly creature walking toward it. Zilla picked itself off the ground and searched for an exit. Instead of running, Zilla sought to escape in the only way it knew how. Zilla rapidly slashed the ground, tunneling a deep enough hole for it to burrow under the surface of the city. But before Zilla could escape, Kong's electrifying hands gripped his tail and pulled him out. The electricity fried the layer of flesh around Zilla's tail. It stunned the reptile long enough for Kong to drag its injured carcass out of the crater. Kong released his grip and circled Zilla, intimidating the reptile with his prowling nature. Zilla weakly breathed in air and tried to recuperate its lost strength, but it knew it would take hours to return to its former potency.
Oh my!
Yeah. In desperation, Zilla lashed out, hoping to catch King Kong by surprise. It didn't expect Kong to be ready for it. Kong caught Zilla's jaws and kept them at bay. Electricity circulated out of Kong's fingertips, frying Zilla's entire face. Without any remorse, Kong widened the gap between Zilla's jaws, never stopping until they splintered into separate pieces. Kong dropped Zilla's broken face and briefly studied the wounded reptile. Hang on a second. Gosh. The chest was still inhaling air, signaling life was still present. Kong bashed its fist into Zilla's chest and kept them pressed against it.
Sounds sexy.
Electricity surged out of Kong's hands, searing Zilla's entire body, reducing the skin to a burnt-out cinder. Before long, Zilla had been reduced to a cadaver of charcoal. Kong raised his fists off Zilla's lifeless carcass and drummed them against his chest. A victorious roar escaped the back of Kong's throat. King Kong, the eighth wonder of the world, surveyed the ravaged landscape of man's domain. Today, a creature of nature had stormed the kingdom of man and would leave triumphant. Winner, King Kong.
I hope he doesn't forget his girl.
Yeah, she's still stuck in the building. Wow. What a horrible boyfriend.
Yeah. So this was
also Zilla needed the Viagra. Alex, just
yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
Well, in any case, I will say this match was varied. It definitely had a lot of interesting features, like the military attack, the whole Empire State Building battle, the ending battle with the Bay. Like there were definitely plenty of different areas, and overall, I definitely say this was I'd say this was a pretty good match, especially considering the combatants. The only note,
like the two American monsters, yeah.
Yeah, the biggest negative I would have is the fact that you can how do I say this? Usually after I say this in a way, this is gonna sound very weird, or this is gonna sound like hypocritical considering like all the monsters we use, but you can definitely see in this match what the obvious things are, which is King Kong 2005 and his battle with the V-Rexes, and Zilla 1998 with the evasion of the missiles, the opening shot being a direct homage to the 98 sequence with Zilla, and you can also kind of tell it was at a moment where no one really thought to use Zilla from the animated series when it came to his durability.
I think at the time it was just more strict to Final War /98, like the live action characters. So.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, the usage of G98, I didn't have much of a problem with, given how many matches we had that use Junior. It's kind of refreshing to read a match that uses G98 instead. So kudos to that.
Yeah, touche.
You know, I really like this match, especially the ending.
Well, right, because Kong killed Zilla, and you don't like Zilla, so. What I said was true. But, yeah, Banner, you have any thoughts on the match, or?
It's pretty good. Again, same problems I had before with it. Just, like, weird word choice. And a bit long.
Well, that's just some of Tom's matches. Like, I think that one in particular was kind of a lengthy one, but, like, the next one we're going to read, it's much shorter.
This one seemed a bit shorter than the first one we all read.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh god, that one was just lengthy as balls.
But yeah. Anyway, that GVJ, did you have any real thoughts on it outside of the fact that you liked the ending?
I do admit I do like how the fight kind of went all over. It went from the city, the Hudson River, to the power plant. I thought that was kind of cool.
Right. I kind of enjoyed the match myself. It's like, yeah, it kind of does what you want with the one-on-one match. It's like you kind of go to different parts of New York City, and like even though I don't think there's an actual nuclear power plant in the city,
there's one upriver though.
Right. It's upriver, right?
Way upriver.
But this is the Kaiju universe. No one gives a shit about geographical locations or whatever.
Exactly. That's why I was gonna say it's a fantasy Kaiju universe. Geographical locations be darned.
Oh jeez, it's like way upriver.
I know. I've done my research. But
okay, like, hold on. I need to find the As the Crow Flies thing.
Well, anyway, before you do that, that was King Kong vs. Zilla. We will see you guys next time for match 17. Until then.
See you guys then.